Welcome to Yoga with Brittany and Stella. The word of the day today is trust. So there's so much that I want to say about trust, but I'll start with a book that I was gifted by one of my best friends recently, and it's called Rules for a Night by Ethan Hawke. It's a classic, so you may have read it or heard about it before, but it's a short book. I read it in one day, not that that's what you're supposed to do, but I would encourage you to pick it up. It's a great book with great tools on how to be the best version of yourself. And the section that I wanted to read to you today is on friendship, and it says, the quality of your life will, to a large extent, be decided by with whom you elect to spend your time. My favorite modern way to say that is, you are the average of your 5 closest friends. And 2020 has been all about finding our tribe. And that's been a collective lesson that we've all been working through. And this year, I have definitely been no exception to that lesson. And it's been tough. It's really tough to lose people that you're really close to. But the silver lining is when you have people in your circle you can trust, life can still go on. And this is Millie. So today in your yoga practice, I would ask that you trust yourself and trust your body, and your body will know what's okay for you to do and what's not okay. And when you're off the mat, I would invite you to take a look at your 5 closest friends, and is there trust there? And if not, I would start with asking yourself, can you trust yourself? And you can start with that on your mat. So find a comfortable seat, please, and either place your hands on your lap, palms up for receiving mode, or place them in front of your heart, and either gaze softly at the floor or close your eyes. We're going to start class with 1 round of the sound Om. You can join in or just listen. So inhale deeply for Om. Lower your hands, open your eyes, and let's begin today in mountain pose. So come to a standing position, bring your feet together, and tone your thighs in as you press your feet down into the earth, and trust that you are being supported. And now extend your arms down along your sides and push your shoulders down towards the earth to get them away from your ears. Against that, can you lift your chest and your chin so that you're all stretched out in this simple pose, and breathe. Now we're getting to the fun part. Bring your fingertips in front of your chest and bend your elbows straight out. Now inhale and bend your knees. And on your exhale, we're gonna do a yoga jumping jack. Exhale, jump into a wide stance with your arms out above your feet. Bring your palms back together, bend your knees again, and jump your feet back together. We're gonna go through that a few more times. Fingertips together, elbows out, bend your knees. Exhale, jump into a wide stance. Back together, bend your knees, back into a mountain pose. Again, bend, jump, bend, jump, bend, jump, bend, jump. One more time. Bend, jump, bend, jump. Very good. Back into mountain pose, feet together, arms extended by your sides. Whether you're inhaling or exhaling, complete that. And if you're exhaling, on your next inhale, bend and lift your arms up over your head and stretch way tall up to the sky. And exhale, dive down into a forward fold. Forward fold, bend your knees so your ribs and thighs are touching, and then take the floor, press it away from you. And if you can press it away from you and begin to straighten your legs, that's fine, but keep your ribs and thighs connected. This will protect your low back. I'm gonna come over here so I can see my book. Inhale, halfway lift into a flat back position. Exhale, forward fold. Hang out for a second. Maybe you swivel side to side. Maybe hold on to your opposite elbows. Swing. And then place your hands at the top of your mat and send your feet to the back of your mat for plank pose, top of a push-up. Now, if you're watching, I'm moving my wrists back so that they're a little more below my shoulders. And then look at your hands. Are your fingertips pointing straight ahead? Are your fingers separated evenly? Once that's put together, tone your abdomen, press your tailbone down, squeeze your thighs in. You can also lower your knees to the ground. You can do that at any time during a plank pose. And you can hold here and breathe, or do 1 to 5 push-ups. Your choice. If you're holding, make sure you're straight and strong, toning everything in toward the midline. Continue to breathe wherever you are. And on your next exhale, lower down onto your bellies. Bring your arms alongside your torso with your palms pointing face up. Bring your ankles together to touch. Lift your head, look forward, and squeeze your shoulders together on your back. Now you can stay here, or with your next inhale, lift up one more place. Continue to squeeze your shoulders together on your back as you press your feet and your hands into the floor. I'm shaking already. Breathe. And lower down. Place your hands at the top of your mat. Curl your toes under, push up, and then send your hips back for our first down dog. In your first down dog, pedal your feet out. Maybe move your hips side to side. Find what feels good. Continue to breathe. Send your hips up. Then you can straighten your legs, and then maybe push your heels closer to the floor. And then step your feet forward to the middle of your mat. And then inhale into mountain pose. Again, we're here. So press your feet down into the earth. You are being supported. And then shrug your shoulders down away from your ears. Take a nice inhale here. And exhale, step to the back of your mat. I'm gonna step over here. From here, place your hands on your hips. Take your right foot and step it to the front of your mat in a lunge position. Okay, now take your back heel and put it down on the mat. Now in this pose, you don't want your back foot parallel to the short edge of your mat. You want your front toes to be just a little bit past the front left corner of your mat. Again, bend your front knee, place your hands on your hips, and see if you can get your front thigh close to parallel to the floor. Try to squeeze your shoulders together on your back as you lift your chest, and then see if you can square your hips a little bit. So that means bring your right hip back and push your left hip forward. It might make it a little easier if you widen your stance side to side. Continue to breathe, move your ribs back, tone your abdomen. Again, squeeze your shoulders together on your back, lift your chin out of your chest, and then step back to the back of your mat. And take your left foot, step it to the front of your mat. Take your right heel, turn it back just a little bit so your right toes are a little bit past the front right corner of your mat. Bend your front knee and sit a little bit deeper into that hip to try to get your front thigh parallel. Then move your left hip back, right hip forward. Keep your shoulders together on your back and lift your chest. You're gonna have a little mini micro bend in your back. Continue to breathe here. This is warrior one, hands on hips. Okay, step to the back of your mat. And you can do this anywhere on your mat. So, place your arms out in front of you, point your palms in, close your fingers, bend your knees, and you can hang out here. You're still working on your thighs a little bit right here. So you can stay here, or if you want to go for the full version of the pose, bend your knees even more, so sit back in your hips, round your back, and bring your forehead close to the top of your knees as you extend your hands out in front of you. Continue to sit back on your heels, squeeze your thighs in together, round your back, and move your abdomen toward your spine, meaning tone those abs. And inhale, come back to standing. Now inhale, lift your arms up overhead and clasp your left tricep with your right hand. And then inhale, look up, and exhale, side bend to the right. In your side bend, see if you can still press down evenly in your feet. Continue to tone your thighs in towards each other and tone your abdomen as you also breathe into the side twist. Come back to center and switch arms. So clasp your opposite tricep. I'm holding on to my right tricep. It looks like the left from what you're seeing. Inhale up and exhale over to the side. Press down evenly in your feet. Breathe into your side body. Maybe even twist a little tiny bit, like a micro twist to the right as you're side bending to the left. And exhale, lower down. Breathe one more time in mountain pose. Trust that you are where you need to be at this exact moment. Inhale your arms up overhead again. Exhale, hinge at your hips and dive down into a forward fold. You can bend your knees or keep them straight if that feels better for you. Inhale, halfway lift. And then exhale, come back into a plank pose. I'm going to take plank today with my knees down on the floor. Again, look at your wrists. Make sure they are as wide or a little bit wider than your shoulders. Separate your fingers evenly. Point your index fingers straight ahead. Breathe. You can choose to take some push-ups if you'd like, but always breathe. As you're ready, come back down onto your stomach and bend your knees. Now, the space between your legs should be about hip width, so they don't have to be touching, just a little bit farther apart. Bring your ankles to touch though. Now take your fingertips and place them outside of your temples. You can look up and you can stay here. This is still giving you a nice back bend. Or if you want to go further, with an inhale, lift your legs, continue to squeeze your thighs together, squeeze your shoulders together on your back, and lift your chest. Take a couple breaths here, and lower down. That was crocodile, knees bent. That was a little difficult. And then come back up into downward facing dog. So the way I did it just now, I had my hands at the top of my mat, bent my knees, I curled my toes under, then I sent my hips up. So breathe here for a second. And then step your feet forward and come into another mountain pose. Take a breath here.
And then come back to the back of your mat. Take your hands on your hips, step your right foot forward to the front of your mat for a lunge. Bend your front knee. Make sure your front knee is over your back, front knee over your front foot. And then take your back heel, spin it down a little bit again. You can choose to widen your stance side to side if that feels better for you, but make sure your front foot is pointing forward and your back foot is a little bit past the front left corner of your mat. From here, take your hands behind your head for warrior one, hands on head. Keep bending in your front knee and see again if you can square your hips. So see if you can move your right hip back a little bit and your left hip forward, just to get them more even with the wall in front of you. Move your ribs back so you're not doing this. And then step back. Take your left foot, step it to the front of your mat, bend your knee, take your back heel, spin it to the side so your right toes are past the right front corner of your mat. Maybe widen your stance side to side if that feels better and it's easier to square your hips. Interlace your fingers behind your head and then see if you can move your left hip back and your right hip forward. These are little movements, so don't get frustrated if you can't feel it in your body just yet. You will if you keep practicing. Breathe. And I'm looking at my leg. I see my knee is a little bit behind my front ankle, so I'm going to bend it just a little bit more. And then lower your hands and step your left foot back into another down dog. From here, walk your hands back to meet your feet and stand up in mountain pose. One breath here. I'm going to step to the middle of my mat. You can be anywhere on your mat for this. Take your hands, interlace them behind your fingers, squeeze your shoulders together on your back. When I say squeeze your shoulders together on your back, it doesn't have to be super intense. It just means don't allow your shoulders to hang forward. So squeeze them on your back, bend your knees. You can stay here or continue to sit back, round your back as you extend your arms up in a vertical position. Try to sit back on your heels, squeeze your thighs in towards each other, and keep a slight tone in your abdomen so that your belly's not just hanging on your thighs. Carefully release as you stand back up. Lift your arms overhead. Grasp your left wrist with your right hand. Inhale up and exhale, side bend to the right. Press down evenly in your feet, which is not easy to do in a side bend, but you can do it. And maybe turn your gaze just a little bit to the left. Breathe into your side body. Come back to neutral. Switch hands. So clasp your opposite wrist. Extend up and then side bend in the opposite direction. I'm side bending to my left. Breathe. Crescent wrist. Inhale, return to center. Exhale, mountain pose. Arms by your side. One more time. Inhale, arms up. And exhale, hinge at your hips and dive forward. For forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold forward and turn. Come into plank pose. Hold it. Lower your knees or do 5 push-ups, up to 5. You can do 1 if that's fine. I'll do 1. Yay! All right, that's plank pose. Keep breathing here. You're getting stronger every day. And then come onto your knees. And then curl your toes under and have a seat. We're going to stretch out our feet for a little bit. If this does not feel good to you, then just sit on the ground and breathe into your happy place. I'm going to place my hands at heart center and continue to work that action of squeezing my thighs in together as I'm stretching out my feet. You can choose to put a little bit of pressure on your feet or a lot. You can completely just sit on your feet. If that's too much, maybe just come up a little bit. Breathe here. Is there any place in your life where you don't trust yourself? Is there any way you can work on that? Just that one place? Exhale, come down onto your stomach again. Arms alongside your torso. Bring your ankles to touch. Point your feet so that your kneecaps lift. And then look ahead as you squeeze your shoulders together on your back. Stay here, or inhale, lift your legs and your feet so that only your hips are on the ground. Extend both back behind you. Squeeze those shoulders together on your back. Probably the most overused phrase of this session. And then exhale, lower down. Now come onto your forearms. And this is all we're doing. We're just kind of hanging out here. Continue to point your feet so that your kneecaps are lifted and your thighs are toned. But this is just cobra, forearms on floor. So your chest is lifted. Look straight ahead. Breathe. Now place your hands on your mat. Curl your toes under. Lift up into down dog. From down dog, bend your knees, walk your hands back to meet your feet. Come into a standing pose. Take your right leg, step it forward into a lunge. Turn your back heel back just a little bit again. Your back toes past the front left corner of your mat. Widen your stance if you need to. And then sit into your front knee so that your knee is above your ankle. Inhale, lift your arms overhead. Place your palms to touch. Breathe. Press back into your back foot. And lift your chin away from your chest. Exhale, release. Step back. Take a few hops. And then take your left foot, step it to the front of your mat for a lunge. Back heel, spin it down a little bit. Widen your stance side to side. Bend your front knee. Move your right hip forward, left hip back. Inhale, sweep your arms overhead. Maybe place your palms together. If your shoulders need more space, just keep them wider. Palms together maybe, palms apart maybe. Inhale, up and back a little bit. See if you can sit one more place deeper in your front hip. Chin out of your chest. And exhale, back down into downward facing dog. This time, step your feet to the middle of your mat. Inhale, arms overhead. Interlace your fingers and push them straight up for summit pose. It's a nice forearm stretch. And then exhale all the way down. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. And then bend your knees for a big inhale up overhead one more time. And again, we're gonna clasp opposite wrists. So take your left wrist with your right hand, inhale up, exhale, side bend to the right. Now, instead of pressing down evenly with both feet, try to put your weight on your left foot as you lift your right foot off the ground. So you're sort of making a C shape or some other weird letter. I'm thinking C just right here. I don't know what the standing leg is. Not really a K. Anywho, I'm getting carried away. And then come back to center, switch wrists. I'm holding onto my right wrist now. Inhale straight up. Exhale, side bend to the left. And you can stay here if the other way was too difficult. If not, if you want a challenge, put your weight on your right foot and then see if you can lift your left foot. Keep it flexed so that it's not just relaxed. Breathe. Come back to center, lower your arms. And now, step your right foot forward, left foot back, and we're just gonna hang out in a lunge. You can rock it if you want to, maybe push your back foot forward, then push it back. You can lower your back knee, whatever you need to do to get a hip opening stretch. If you are in a lunge, make sure that your knee is above your ankle. If you are upright with your back leg, keep it straight and strong for 3, 2, 1. Step your back foot forward. You can do it in one step or in many. And then your other foot back. Lunge on the second side. Back leg straight and strong if it's lifted. If it's lowered, you are gravy, baby. Front knee over front ankle. I have not used that expression in a really long time. So, you're gravy, baby. Breathe, laugh, trust yourself. Maybe wiggle a little. And then step back into a plank pose just for a few seconds. And then you can lower your knees if they weren't already lowered and lie down on your back. So we're going to bridge pose. In this pose, I want you to take your one shoulder at a time and walk it underneath your back. Keep your chin out of your chest. Take the outer edges of your mat and pull them apart, because on your next inhale, you're gonna lift your hips, and pulling your mat apart will help you to stay firm. Firm, strong, all those things. Take your chin out of your chest, back of your head is on the floor. Keep lifting your hips as you squeeze your thighs in toward the midline. Breathe. Exhale, gently lower down. And then take your right foot and place it on top of your left thigh. And then lift your hips, place them to the left about 4 inches as you allow your feet to fold in the opposite direction. Now your hands can be cactus pose or robot arms. They can be straight out. Whatever feels good in your body. You can press your palms down onto the floor. You can look over to your left side. Just breathe here. Place both feet on the floor. Center your hips again. Take your left foot, place it on top of your right thigh. Bend your knee out a little bit, your left knee. And then lift your hips over to the right about 4 inches. And then allow your legs, your knees, and your feet to fall over to the left. You can do whatever you want with your arms. Maybe look out over your right shoulder. Enjoy the rest. Bring your feet back to center. Lift your right leg. Interlace your fingers behind your right thigh. And then see if you can push your thigh away from you as your hands pull your thigh in towards you. So you shouldn't be going anywhere. Opposing actions right here. But you should feel a nice stretch in the back of your leg. Flex your feet. So point the sole of your feet straight up. And then exhale, lower down. Lift your left leg. Interlace your fingers behind your left thigh. Extend your toe mound up toward the ceiling. So make your foot flat and pretend like you're standing on the ceiling. Pull your thigh in towards your torso as you push away from your hands with your thigh. And continue to breathe. Exhale, lower down. Now take your right foot again and place it on your left thigh, and then lift your left foot and interlace your fingers behind your left thigh. So you're interlacing your fingers through the hole that you just created. Maybe you can see me with your legs. And again, maybe you take your right foot and press your left thigh away from you as you take your hands and pull them towards you. I would also recommend pushing your